Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo, and today's lesson is about understanding the two phases of negotiation when you're talking to a motivated seller. Okay, so the two phases. Okay, and it could all start with you're cold calling a seller, or it could be an incoming call or a lead generation that they submitted on your website, and now you're calling them back. So it doesn't matter if you're making cold calls or if you're just returning incoming calls or leads. And you have to understand what phase are you in. So phase one is where call it the gathering phase. And in the gathering phase, you're not arguing with the seller. You're not trying to negotiate where they're on that side and you're on this side, where like everybody's on a different side. You're not doing that. Uh, uh, in the gathering phase, you're just gathering information, but more importantly, you're building rapport with the seller. You're getting to become their friend. You're getting them to like you. You're connecting with them. Okay, um, in the gathering phase. So if they say, for example, the sky is green, and you know for a fact the sky is blue, at this phase you're not going to argue with them. You'll say like a neutral word. Sure, okay. You're not saying that you agree with them, and you're not saying that you disagree with them. You're using neutral words. So if they say, my house is worth 100, but you have a CMA that shows their house is worth 50, you're not going to argue with them at this phase. You're not going to disagree with them at this phase. You're not going to do anything that's going to create separation where they're on this side and you're on this side, okay? Because this is the wrong phase for that, okay? Actually, throughout the whole negotiation, you don't want to create separation, okay? You're not going to get the deal, okay? It has to be a win-win. So again, on phase one, your main goal is to build rapport with the seller. Your main goal is to gather information. And the more information you gather, the more you're going to be able to solve the seller's problem. So you don't want to do anything that restricts the flow of information. Like if water that's coming down into a water garden, you don't want to do anything that clogs up that water pipe, okay? Because that information flow needs to come to you, because our job, my job, your job as an investor is to solve the seller's problem. And how can you solve a formula if you don't have all the variables? You can't solve a formula if you don't have all the variables. So you're going to need majority of the variables, if not all of it. You don't need all of it, but you need 90%, 95%, 80%, depends on your skill level, okay? And so that's why it's so crucial. Let me repeat that. So crucial that in the gathering phase, you're not creating separation. Okay, it doesn't matter what the seller says. Okay, even if you're for example believe in X and they believe in Y, you're not gonna talk about stuff that you're create separation. You're not gonna talk about stuff that you're different on. Your only job is to find similarities with the seller and connect with them. Okay, now this brings me to the next point. So many people, if it's my assistants or if it's my students or people that work for me, they all say, "Oh yeah, I know what building report is. Oh yeah, I know what building report is. Oh yeah, 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 I know what that is." But when I see them in action, they don't know what building report is. They have no fucking idea what building report is. Some people think asking a bunch of questions, blah 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 blah. Some people think that's building report. Some people think if they ask my seller questionnaire form, that's building report. And that's so wrong. Okay, that's so wrong. Um, Building rapport is going to require that you listen. Okay, now there's a big difference between hearing and listening. Okay, hearing is just like you hear a dog or your airplane drive by. You register that information. Listening is taking that information into your, processing it into your brain, and then using it for what you need. And a lot of people, a lot of my students, a lot of my workers, God, they do a lot of hearing, but they don't do any listening. Okay, A good example is, when I'm training somebody to do cold calling, I'm watching them. Um, they'll ask the seller like some question like this. Okay, so what's your situation? Why are you selling the house? And the seller goes, okay, and then in the blah 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 blah, they have answered the next question that my student's going to ask them, and then they're going to go and say, well, hey, well, how much repairs does the house need? But maybe the seller already disclosed that information to you on your first question. You ask them, why do you want to sell the house? And the seller says, the roof keeps breaking and the house needs so much repairs and I can't afford it. So then if you ask them, well, how much repairs does the house need? Or, something like that, it doesn't show that you're listening. That really wasn't a really good example because I have a lot of questions that I ask regarding repairs, but I'm just giving you a quick example. If you just hear and you don't listen, you're not going to get deals. And the other problem is when you just hear and you don't listen is you're not processing information. And if you can't process information, how can you solve the seller's problem? Because this is a tough mathematical problem. And on top of it, there's a psychological problem that goes with it. So unlike in accounting where they only have to know about the numbers, unlike a psychologist that only knows about emotion, us investors, we have to be a master of emotions. We have to be a master of numbers. And we have to flood it in, turn it around, figure a solution that's going to create a win-win for the seller and a win-win for us. That's why if you don't listen and you only hear, you're not going to solve the seller's problem. And that, I can say, that's one of the top problems that I see with students, employees, anybody that's in sales is they listen. They hear shit, but they don't listen. They don't process the information, okay? Which is very, very wrong. And now, here's the other thing. The problem is with the gathering information part is that many students, they don't connect with the seller, okay? For example, they may, go to the seller's house and they walk around and they see the seller has a fitness equipment, okay? And if I'm there, I work out, I start talking to the seller, hey, where do you work out? How long you been working out? When did you get into it? See, I'm now connecting with the seller because not only am I talking about what he wants to talk about, but I have a primary interest in working out. I love this shit. I've been doing this shit since high school. So I get real passionate about it. And then we can actually leave the subject and go talk about the fucking weights. We can talk about him doing some couple of pull-ups. I'll do some couple of pull-ups. Dude, I have a degree in kinesiology. I can even show him how to do some proper exercises. So it's not about the numbers. It's not about the condition of the house. It's not about why the house is where it's located. It's not about repairs. Okay? If you're dealing with the bank, if you're dealing with buying foreclosed homes at the auction, if you're dealing with, REOs, yes, those things are very important. But you're not dealing with that. What I'm training you is to deal with motivated sellers. Okay, motivated sellers, you could get 0% interest. You could pay them $1 to tie up the property. You could have them carry their note. You could do non-recourse loans. So there's so much powerful information. But you have to ascertain a lot of skills. Like you have to know the CPA aspect and the emotional aspect, okay? And then the sales and negotiation. But it's hell of a worth it because there's so many good deals out there. So coming back to the story, your ability to connect with the seller is so crucial. I can't explain this enough, and I really want to make sure you listen to me, guys. It does not, dealing with motivated sellers, it does not matter what the property is worth. It does not matter how much repairs it needs. It does not matter the numbers. At this time, in the gathering information, none of that shit matters, okay? Because we're just dealing with motivated sellers. So your ability to connect with them, have similarities with them, build rapport with them, show them that you're the same as them in one way or another, okay? That's the crucial key in phase one, which is gathering information and building rapport, guys. We're not trying to create separation, okay? And I know I went a little too long on this idea because I really want to make sure you guys understand this idea. Now, the second phase of negotiation is when you actually start checking them, okay? What I mean that is if you're in a boxing and they throw punches, instead of just ducking, You're going to check them. You're going to let them block so it hurts their feet. If they're kicking, you're going to bring your legs up so they hit bone against bone so it hurts you as much as it hurts them. Okay? But again, you're not trying to create separation. You're just checking them. Okay? Like in chess, you take one of my rook, I'm going to take one of your soldiers. Okay? But it's just checking. I'm not trying to create separation. I'm like, man, fuck you, dude. I don't want to play with you no more. You're wrong, dude. No, it's not like that. Okay? But it's checking them. For example, trying to come up with a good idea to explain to you what do I mean by checking. Okay, here's a good one that just came to my mind. You're calling the expired list, or a lead comes in. You're cold calling expired list, or a lead comes in, or whatever. And you talk to the seller, and you find out the seller has listed the house with the realtor. They try to sell it. It was on the market for so many days or so many months, and it didn't sell. But now they're still believing that their home is worth so much dollars. And now checking them would come and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I totally understand that you want to get the most amount of money as possible. If I was in your shoes, I would want to make the most amount of money as possible. But I'm not a realtor, I'm a cash buyer, so I'm going to shoot straight with you. I know your realtor's willing to tell you whatever you want to hear to get your listings. But the truth of the fact is that realtors, they sell their home to retail buyers. These are the people that are going to live in this home. This is going to be their dream home. And they're willing to pay the top dollars. Okay? I'm an investor. I don't live in these homes. To me, it's all about the numbers, okay? So, and the problem with your home, Mr. Seller, is that you went with the realtor, you listed it for top dollars, okay? But nobody bought it. And one of the reasons for that could be that you have priced your house so high up that the fair market doesn't justify it. And the fair market is the retail buyers, is the way you just went with the realtor. So if you listen with a realtor and not even a retail buyer will pay that price, then you're asking too much, assuming that the house is not crazy and it's in good shape and all that stuff. Okay, so that's when you're checking them. You're not trying to create separation. You're checking them, and basically you let them know that, hey, kind of like you're not arguing with them, but you're kind of like shaking them without like being abusive. And now I have another video that says how to take the seller and separate him from his problem. And so whenever you're checking them, you have to make sure that you're not pointing the fingers to them. Okay? You're separating them. So in the same example I just did, I would say, Mr. Seller, if I was in your shoes, I want to get top dollars. I'm totally with you. But when I buy your house, or if I bought your house and I just try to sell it for the same price that you're trying to sell it for, and then I go into my pitch that, hey, you already put it for that price, and I'm going to put it for the same price. It's not going to sell. The retail buyers are living there. So notice that I didn't point a finger to him. I separated the seller, made it now into my problem. If I bought it and I try to sell for the exact same price, and here's the obstacles and all the difficulties I'm going to face, which is exactly the same thing he's facing. So he's thinking in the back and said, oh, shit, that's exactly what happened to me. Oh, shit, this or this. So basically, I'm letting him connect the dots without pointing the finger at him. I'm saying, if I did this, this is what's going to happen to me, which is exactly what's happening to him because he just tried to list his house. It didn't sell because he's wanting too much. The retail buyers are not even willing to buy it for that price, which means that his house is priced more than fair market because the fair market is determined by supply and demand, and the demand are not buying that supply because they don't think it's justified compared to other supplies out there. So, and that's what I'm talking about phase two, that in that phase two negotiation, you're gathering information from phase one. You're processing the information now in the phase two, and you're starting the negotiation. In this phase, you're not going to try to create separation, but you do want to check them, okay? It's very, very crucial because if you don't check them, they're going to think they're what they think is right. And they're not professionals. You and I are more professionals than they are. For example, I don't know shit about cars. If I take my car to the mechanic and he said, this is the problem, I'm going to believe him, okay? Now, some of you may not want to believe him because you don't want to pay all that money for repairs, but unless I know shit about mechanics, which I don't, I can say whatever the fuck I want, but it's not true, okay? So if it needs X repaired and I think it's Y, so what? Okay, so it's your job to help and coach the seller, make sure that they understand what the problem is. Because you're not a realtor and you're not just trying to say anything to get a listing. You're trying to coach them. You're trying to massage them to help them realize the situation they're in without making it about them, but making it about you, okay? So it's very, very crucial. So in the second phase of negotiation, you want to make sure you're checking the sellers, okay? Now, in the second phase of negotiation, this is when you start with the soft offer, which basically says, for example, hey, if I could give you some money now and start making monthly payments for you, if I could do that, would that work for you? Or if your house qualifies, if I can make the monthly payments month after month, would that work for you? Okay. So now you're giving little soft offers, but you're not putting numbers down. Like I didn't say, hey, I'm going to give you 10 grand down, $1,000 a month. I'm saying, I'll give you a little money now, and I can make monthly payments for you till I cash out the loan. If I could do that, would that work for you? Okay. So in the phase two, you're going to be, you gather information, you're processing the information, and now you're kind of testing them with the checking, but also with your soft offer, okay? And when you're giving the soft offer, you're of course going to give them the superhero closing, okay? Which includes like telling the seller all their options under the moon and the star. You're going to talk to them about they can rent their property out and get a property management. You're going to talk about they could sell it traditionally. You're going to be talking about they could do a flat fee MLS. You're going to be talking about a cash offer, short sales, bankruptcy. I mean, all their options they got. You're going to do the superhero closing. If you don't know what that is, get on my YouTube channel. I do have a video about superhero closing. So at this phase, you're going to give them a soft offer, include a superhero closing, and then ask them, which one of these do you lean towards against, okay? If the seller says, hey, I want to sell it for top dollars, hey, I want to do the realtor briefcase, basically, like I want to do flat fee MLS, I just want to list it with the realtor, then you say, not a problem, let me get that information and give it to my go-getter broker, and we'll make this deal happen for you. Because in this case, you're not going to be able to persuade this guy to give it to you at 50 cents on the dollar. Okay? No way in hell. All right? So what I teach you is to have sales enlightenment. I don't teach you to do sales manipulation where you corner people and you only focus about me. And sure, sometimes you can get a deal like that, but then the buyer, the seller will have buyer's remorse, and it's just fucking headache, man. It's just not worth it. So what I want to teach you guys is sales enlightenment, where you're actually helping people if you don't even make fucking money, because you understand that the seeds you sow is going to be the seeds you reap. You understand that what you put out is going to come right the fuck back at you, okay? It might not be with this seller, but it might be with another seller. And if it takes a while, you're going to get rewarded exponentially, just like Napoleon Hill said, okay? So in the phase two, you're going to check them. You're going to give them a soft offer. And then you're going to get them the superhero closing. And then you're going to ask them which offer they go towards. And then you're going to help them with whatever option they want. If they want to go with the cash offer, then you tell them this. If they want to go with the realtor offer, then you hand it to your go-getter realtor. That's why it's so important to partner with a realtor, because you're going to get a lot of leads. They're not going to fit into your investor briefcase, and you got to put them in the realtor briefcase, okay? And then your realtor should be able to give you some money for the way you've done it. Now, if you guys don't have a realtor, hit me up. I own a broker firm. I'd be happy to compensate you guys one way or another, okay? For every lead that you send to me. If I don't buy it as Mr. Investor and it has to go to my plug-in realty brokerage firm, we'll be happy to give you a win-win situation. So hit me up, okay, guys? And I'll be happy to do that, like property management, flat fee MLS, traditional listing, 29-day sold guaranteed program. So we have a lot of arsenals in our briefcase to help you guys close deals, because any deals you guys send us, we'll close it. Make sure it's a win for you as well, guys, okay? And if you need anything, we'll be here to help you out, because we do have a lot of infrastructure in place, okay? So now you gather all the information in phase one. Now you start negotiating. You ask the seller what does he want, what offer he's leaning towards, and he's going to say the investor. Then you're going to do the terms, or you're going to do the cash. And if they say, hey, the realtor, then you're going to send it to your go-getter broker. And in a nutshell, that's pretty much how the negotiation process works from phase one to phase two, okay? And then if they say they want to go with an investor, you give them your offer, okay? And depends where you are. If you're a professional like me, I don't drive out there and look at the property till I send them the contract. They sign it back, which means I have the deal before I drive out there. If you're a rookie or if you're a full-time investor, you only have one gig. I mean, I have multiple ways to make money. I'm making money with my moving company, with my real estate company, with my investment, with my rentals. I sell digital products. So I have multiple stream of income. So I'm not going to drive out there and look at every seller, meet every seller, even if they're motivated as fuck or it's a good deal. I just don't have the time for that. But if you're a full-time investor and this is the only gig you got, then you better get your ass out there and talk to that seller. And if you're a newbie, you better get out there and talk to that seller. If you're a fucking, you're a CEO and you got shit going on, well, then you probably want to do what I do. And tune to my other videos, what I talk about creating loopholes or creating jumping places where you have the seller jump through hoops before you get to talk to them, because it's going to save you a lot of time, plus allows you to deal with only motivated sellers, guys. All right, so in this lesson, I know it became very long. We talked about gathering information, which is phase one, and we talked about the negotiation and what you should do afterward. And the crucial things I want to make sure is throughout both of these phases, you want to do your best not to create separation. You want to do your best to be the seller's friend. You want to do your best to connect with them. Like you really got to know their story. You know what I'm saying? And you got to do a lot of not talking, okay, and a lot of listening, not just hearing, but listening. You have to do a lot of processing because every seller has a different problem, and not all problems are exactly the same, guys. Go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't take no for an answer, guys. If you like these videos, please like, please share, please comment, and tell your friends and family about me, guys. And fuck a naysayer, fuck a TV, read a fucking book. See you later.